Meanwhile, joining us this half hour in the studio is Battle Creek City Commissioner Mark Behnke. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Richard. How are you?
Great, thank you. Thank you for the time today. You and one other commissioner, Deb Owens, were the dissenters in the budget vote last week, and so we thought we'd give you a chance to talk a little bit about what might be behind that. But a complicated situation, and one in which, if you had your magic wand and could change things, maybe we would, just so that we wouldn't have to.
And I firmly believe that the city administration has the best interest of all the taxpayers in mind, and they work very hard at controlling cost, at making sure that we spend the taxpayers' money as effectively as possible. And
Right.
I believe there was the elimination of some unfilled jobs that our city manager proposed in this budget, but still, it doesn't get easy, and it doesn't get easy for a couple of reasons. And number one, city income tax revenues have not met projections. I'm sure this is reflective of the job situation in the city of Battle Creek. A lot of people probably aren't receiving the increases in compensation that they wish to receive, and ultimately it affects the city of Battle Creek when it comes to city income tax revenues. I believe that we had to reduce this year's budget for city income tax revenues
Midstream, yeah.
Right, $600,000, just because we don't see the projections coming in like they have in the past. That could be reflective of corporate revenues, which make up a majority of the city income tax revenues, or it could be personal income tax revenues are down substantially. So, and also there's a lot of other things. Unfortunately, the growth of our property tax assessments isn't meeting the growth of the city budget revenue. So that's hurting us too. But still, the fact of the matter is we need to live within our means. Like I said earlier, the city administration has done a tremendous job. But a couple of us maybe thought they should have gone a little bit further than increasing tax rates 4.6%. So I think it's important that these are tough decisions, and we just didn't vote at a whim. I don't think any of the 7 commissioners who voted to raise income tax rates for this coming year did it without a lot of thought and consideration. So, I think the people need to understand because this will affect them. And I thank you for the opportunity to be here and to talk about it.
And we'll talk more about it in just a minute, including what especially about it you didn't like, and then, maybe if there had been something different about it that would have changed your mind, we can talk about that. And I think, too, we can talk about your history with the city and looking back over the years, have we had a situation like this before? And we'll talk about that coming up in just a minute with Mark Behnke on WBCK, 8:30. Commissioner Mark Behnke is here, City of Battle Creek. We're talking about the recent budget, and of course it passed. However, Commissioner Behnke and Commissioner Owens were those who voted against it. 2 dissensions there, so we're discussing that and what might have been at issue. So, right, a tax increase, and is that in and of itself the main crux for why you felt uncomfortable with this?
Well, there's a couple things to look at. First of all, we have the police and fire pension that goes up and down every year.
Right.
And it wasn't that large of an increase this year. I think it was 0.183. And I was willing to go along with that. In the past, we've always floated that back and forth between a regular millage, and we worked with the taxpayers on that. And I proposed an amendment to the recommendation by our city manager, and I knew that it would be tough to get that approved, but still the fact of the matter is we needed to talk about it. Our police and fire pensions are a substantial amount of money of the budget. Just the police department budget makes up close to 40%, I believe, of our total budget.
Wow.
So another issue that was really coming to the forefront was the proposed, yet to be approved, new police station that the city administration wants. And that's a big ticket price tag, close to $800,000 of this new increase in tax rate will be compensating the bonds on the new police station that the city commission hasn't approved yet. And that's where I was a little upset. Rebecca Lurie had felt that she received enough support because there wasn't support to purchase the former Southwest Michigan Rehab building on Roosevelt. But the question was never posed to the city commission that I know of. If you were not going to support the purchase of the former Southwest Michigan Rehab, will you then in turn support the construction of a new police station in downtown Battle Creek? And I'm not thoroughly convinced that that new construction of a police station needs to take place. I'm being told that the building has deteriorated to a point where it's not safe for those employees to be working in there. Well, let me be the first to say we have a responsibility to have buildings that are safe and constructed that we're not going to put any of our employees on harm's way. So if the building is not safe, let's get it determine what we're going to need to do. And let's let this discussion begin to find out if we really do need a new police station. That was built in 1972. I was graduating from 8th grade at the time. I remember the construction of the building. And we were told at that period of time that the police station would last for an extended period of time. So, and I believe it's very well constructed. It's a very strong building. And we have a lot of older buildings in Battle Creek. The Federal Center, Post Cereals has a lot of older buildings, over 100 years old, that they're still using. This one isn't that old. So let's try to live within our means. Maybe we can use these monies elsewhere, because $800,000 each year to retire the debt payment on a new police station will just cost the taxpayers a substantial amount of money.
And so your point then, I think, is that maybe that was ahead of where it should have been in the order.
Right. I believe that we put the cart before the horse, in a sense. The city commission hasn't approved the construction publicly on the record of the new police station. And I'm not thoroughly convinced. I need to be thoroughly convinced before I vote in favor of that. And right, if I were to vote today, I would say, no, we do not need a new police station. So everyone would like a new office structure or a new home, but we need to live within our means. The timing of this tax increase, I think, isn't the right period of time. We're still weathering the recession. Our income tax revenues on city income tax revenues are down, and they're not growing like they should. The values of our homes in the community are not growing. I just really feel that it was not the right time to raise income taxes, property taxes, when all those things are heading in the downward direction.
We're talking with Commissioner Mark Behnke about money, of course, here in Battle Creek. We'll continue in a moment on WBCK 8. Commissioner Mark Behnke is here with us, City of Battle Creek. We've been talking about the budget and some concerns about it. Another part of this budget, of course, is that we're reaching into a reserve fund to help close a gap somewhere around $500,000.
Correct.
Boy, that doesn't make you feel warm and fuzzy either, does it?
No, we still have a substantial reserve fund, though. I think there were three options, option A, B, and C. Option C would have dipped into the reserve fund about $1.1 million, and it still would have left close to 11% of a reserve fund, which a lot of our analysts like 10 plus for the reserve. The one that was approved by the City Commission will dip into the reserve fund, $551,000, I believe the number is. 591,000.
So. And in that, with that thought, I guess the concern then becomes trying not to make a habit out of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And one area that you were talking about earlier is the number of years that we held our tax rate very stable. There may have been an increase a little bit, but in 2006 and 2007, we were at 14.476, and we stayed there until 2012 when we moved it up to 14.736. I believe that was because of the police fire pension. The police fire pension went up from 3.488 to 3.748. And then we stayed at that 14.736 for a number of years until we moved up to the 15.419 this year. So it's a huge increase. It'll affect a lot of people, especially businesses in Battle Creek will pay a substantial portion of that in order to generate the close to $800,000 that the $500,000 generates.
There's been, and when you refer to that, there's been quite a buzz around downtown and development efforts in that area and so on. Do you think this would affect that? Someone trying to decide whether or not to make a go of it as a business in downtown, do you think this would tip them the other way?
Well, working a business in downtown Battle Creek is tough today.
Mm-hmm.
We're very blessed to have the Kellogg Corporation and the Kellogg Foundation to be down there. The Kellogg Company has their campus setting that has 3 buildings where they brought a lot of the people from Porter Street. Without that employment picture, we would really be in a lot of hurt. We're making a turnaround though. We have some investors that have purchased a number of buildings. Dave Smolinski and his wife have purchased 3 buildings that they have great plans for. I think they're being very diligent and looking at what they need to do in our downtown business district. However, the DDA is really tapped. They are just making their debt payments on some of the things that we did back in 1998 when we make the decision to do the pipeline projects. That dealt with the Emmett Street overpass, a lot of the linear path, full blast. At some point in time, those are going to have to be paid off, but currently we have over $50 million in debt because of those projects that go back to 1998. So our hands are tied in downtown Battle Creek. We're very blessed. Like I said, the Kellogg Foundation, the company, spent the money to redo Michigan Avenue in downtown Battle Creek, and that looks beautiful. I think John Hart and Ted Deering are doing an excellent job at generating some enthusiasm and some investors into some of the buildings, but we still have a long way to go.
You've been a commissioner for a long time. You've been the mayor. Have there been times that you think have been more of a struggle than now, or is this the
This is
biggest struggle?
probably one of our most difficult times. It really is. I applaud Linda Morrison and Rebecca. They're working very diligently at making certain that every department is run as efficiently as possible. They've been very resourceful in some of the ideas they've come up with. They've not made some people happy in some of the changes that they have done, but I believe that we have a city administration and a staff that has the best interest of all citizens at the forefront, and that's what's important.
Are we in an area where we are on the precipice of some kind of surge forward? I mean, you get that impression from BC Vision and that sort of thing that maybe we're talking at a level we haven't before. Does that give you some confidence?
Absolutely. I mean, I just applaud the amount of people that are involved with BC Vision, the time that they have to dedicate towards the work that is being accomplished there, from John Bryant to the CEO of the Kellogg Foundation. I mean, my day is busy. I really don't have time for that. I applaud them for giving up a lot of their time at their corporate responsibilities to work for the betterment of our entire community, especially when it comes to education. If you look at some of the studies that they're dedicating towards education, I think that's very important, and it's needed in Battle Creek.
All right, we'll leave it there. We always appreciate the time you give us. Thank you.
Richard, thank you.
Commissioner Mark Behnke on WBCK. Back in